Most people don't even realize they're at war. Not with others, not with the world, but with themselves. You wake up already behind. The day hasn't even started, but your heart's racing. Your brain is already sprinting. You scroll, you check, you react, you compare, you pretend you're okay. But deep down, you feel it. That tight grip in your chest, that fog in your mind, that invisible weight you've been dragging around. You feel like you're drowning in silence, like you're losing a battle you didn't sign up for. That's not weakness. That's the noise of a world that never taught you how to be still. And maybe you've told yourself, this is just how life is. But no, it's not. Life isn't meant to feel like survival mode. And peace isn't some mystical thing reserved for monks on mountaintops. The ancient Stoics knew that. They faced chaos, they faced loss, but they didn't flinch, because they trained for it. They trained their minds to stay calm, clear, anchored. While emperors were losing their grip on reality, Marcus Aurelius was writing to himself every morning. You have power over your mind, not outside events. That wasn't just philosophy, that was survival. See, the Stoics had a word, ataraxia. It means unshakable inner peace, not numbness, not pretending, but clarity, even in chaos. That's what this video is. Not another list, not another gimmick, but a map. 10 habits, not hacks. Habits that rewire how you think, react, live. Not overnight, but day by day. Because if your mind feels like a battlefield right now, it means one thing. You've been giving your power away to thoughts that don't serve you, to fears that haven't even happened, to people who don't understand you. And here's the truth. You're not broken. You're just untrained. So, if you're still here, take a deep breath. No, really, right now, in through the nose. Hold. Out through the mouth. Again. Welcome to the start of stillness. Welcome to the moment your mind begins to change. These are the 10 habits that helped warriors stay composed in battle, that helped philosophers endure exile, that helped the strongest among us stop running from their own thoughts. You don't need all 10 today. Just one. One habit, one shift, one breath. That's how it starts. Before we go deeper, if this isn't your first time here, welcome back. You already know the kind of conversations we have, the kind of peace we're chasing, the kind of mental discipline we're building, one lesson at a time. And if this is your first time, good, because you're not here by accident. You could have clicked anything. But something inside you is done. Done with shallow advice. Done with empty noise. Done with pretending your mind's fine when it isn't. Subscribe if you're ready to train. Subscribe if you're done living in reaction. If you want to meet your thoughts head on. Subscribe like you're making a quiet decision. I want to get stronger, inside. This isn't entertainment. This is equipment. For your mind, for your life, for the days when everything feels like too much. Because peace isn't given. it's built. So if you're ready, hit it. There's a reason we're talking about a philosophy that's over 2,000 years old, because when life hurts, the truth doesn't expire. And Stoicism? It wasn't created in classrooms. It was built in chaos, on battlefields, in exile, in cold stone prisons. It wasn't designed for comfort. It was made for real life, real loss, real stress, real suffering. You hear the word Stoicism, and you probably picture a man with no emotion, still, cold, untouched. But that's not it. Stoicism isn't about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about not being ruled by what you feel. It's about understanding your emotions, then choosing your response. It's not about being robotic. It's about being unshakable. That's a massive difference, because most people, they don't respond. They react, loud, impulsive, drained, regretful. The Stoics saw that, and they chose another path, one built on discipline, clarity, perspective. They didn't ask, "How do I feel?" They asked, "What's within my control? What's the right thing to do, regardless of how I feel?" That's why this philosophy still matters, because your life is made of moments like this. Someone says something that triggers you. Your chest tightens, your mind races, your ego kicks in. You want to react, snap, defend, retreat. And in that split second, you either become a slave to your emotions or you pause and master your response. Stoicism trains you for that pause, that sacred space between impulse and action. It's not ancient wisdom anymore. It's modern survival, because what worked for emperors works in traffic. What worked for slaves works when you've just lost your job. What helped men survive exile can help you face heartbreak, rejection, shame, failure. Because pain hasn't changed, and neither has the antidote. You want proof? Listen to Seneca. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. It's not the thing that's stressing you, it's your story about it. That meeting, that message, that breakup, that delay. You're not stressed because of what happened, you're stressed because of the meaning you gave it. And once you learn that, once you see that your thoughts are just thoughts, not truth, you unlock something. You reclaim your mind, and when you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your peace. So no, Stoicism isn't cold, it's courageous. It's the courage to feel something deeply and still not let it own you, to walk through hell without letting it shape who you become. That's why we're here. And that's why these 10 habits matter, because you're going to get triggered, you're going to face resistance, you're going to fall. The question isn't if, the question is how prepared will your mind be when it happens. Let's prepare it, starting now. Habit 1. Morning stillness. The battle begins the moment you open your eyes. Most people don't even realize it. They wake up, grab their phones before their feet hit the ground, and the world starts screaming at them. Notifications, news, messages, expectations. Before they've even taken a breath, they've already lost control of the day. Because now they're reacting. Reacting to headlines. Reacting to what someone else wants. Reacting to noise. That's not living. That's obeying. So here's your first habit. Stillness. Not just silence. Stillness. The kind that helps you meet yourself before you meet the world. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in Rome. And every morning he sat down to write. Not to impress anyone, not to publish. He wrote to himself. His own reminders, his own check-in. because even emperors needed grounding. So do you. Every morning, before you take in the world, put something out. Write, or sit in silence, or breathe, or pray, or reflect. Just give yourself 5 minutes. No input, no noise, no replies. 5 minutes to remember who you are. You can journal with a question. What am I feeling this morning? What matters today? What do I want to carry into this day? And what do I want to leave behind? Or just sit, eyes closed, feet grounded, breathing steady, and listen. You'll be surprised how loud your mind really is. But here's the beauty. In that space, you begin to take ownership of it. You're not rushing into someone else's agenda. You're not getting yanked into reaction. You're deciding, today begins on my terms. Because that's what the Stoics believed. That the first battle of the day is the most important one. Win that, and the rest gets easier. Quote Marcus, if you need to. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. And you might not feel that every morning. That's okay. Still sit. Still write. Still breathe. Because your nervous system is watching. Your mind is watching. And every time you begin your day in stillness, you send a signal to your brain. I'm safe, I'm grounded, I'm present. And from that place, you stop reacting. You start choosing. So before you scroll, before you talk, before you pick up your phone to see what the world wants from you, ask what you want from this day. Just 5 minutes. That's all it takes to shift your entire trajectory. Not because of what happens in those 5 minutes, but because of what doesn't. No noise, no panic, no pretending. Just you showing up for yourself every single morning. Habit 2, sphere of control. Anxiety always comes back to the same thing. You're trying to control something that isn't yours to control. That's the tension in your chest. That's the weight in your stomach. That's the helplessness that keeps creeping in when the future won't cooperate. We think if we just worry hard enough, maybe we'll stop something bad from happening. But worry is not a shield. It's a chain, and it keeps you locked inside problems you can't fix. Here's where Stoicism cuts through the noise. Epictetus taught a simple distinction. There are things you control and things you don't. That's it. 2 columns, 2 lists, 2 worlds. The problem? Most people live entirely in the wrong one. They obsess over other people's opinions, over how things should have gone, over outcomes they want but can't force. And they abandon the one thing that's actually theirs, their own thoughts, their own actions, their own response. So here's the habit. Start each day with a control audit. Get out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. Left side, things I can control. Right side, things I can't. And be brutally honest. You can't control the economy. You can't control what someone else says. You can't control whether it rains or how your body will feel tomorrow, but you can control how you respond. You can control your preparation, your effort, your boundaries, your thoughts, your decisions. That's your power. And it's enough. And most of your anxiety isn't from life, it's from resistance. You keep trying to force what doesn't belong to you. And that's exhausting. But the moment you stop gripping so tight, the moment you accept what's not yours, your nervous system exhales. That's when calm returns. Because your mind finally realizes you're back in your zone. Not the future, not the past, not the what-ifs, just the here, the now. Your lane. Practice this every day. Literally. Write down what's outside your control and let it go. Toss the note in the trash or burn it. Ritualize it. Teach your mind, this worry is not my responsibility. And then look at what's left. The small circle. The few things you can influence. You'll notice something strange. That circle is quiet. It's focused. It's free. Because when you live in the zone of control, you live without begging reality to cooperate. You stop trying to rearrange the weather. You stop waiting for someone to change. You get to work on what's yours. Make the best use of what is in your power, Epictetus said, and take the rest as it happens. That's strength. Not because you're ignoring what's painful, but because you've accepted what's not yours to fix. So the next time your mind starts spinning, pause. Ask yourself 2 questions. Is this within my control? If not, can I release it? And the more you practice this, day after day, the less chaotic the world feels, not because it changed, but because you did. You got clear on what's yours and what never was. Habit 3. Name your inner noise. The most dangerous voice you'll ever hear doesn't come from outside. It's the one inside your own head. The whisper that tells you you're not doing enough. The echo that replays your past mistakes. The loop that keeps asking, what if, until you forget what's real. Overthinking isn't just noise, it's invasion. It hijacks your peace. You wake up in the middle of the night, mind racing through conversations that never happened, outcomes that haven't arrived, fears that aren't even true. And worst of all, you believe it, because the voice sounds like you. It wears your tone, uses your memories, steals your past. But here's what the Stoics knew. Your thoughts are not you. They are impressions, not facts. Just like clouds passing through the sky. You don't have to grab everyone. You don't have to believe everyone. And you definitely don't have to obey everyone. So here's the habit. Externalize the voice. Give it a name. You want to take its power away? Don't just fight it, separate from it. You can call it the narrator, or the doubter, or give it something ridiculous. Call it Kevin, call it Janice, call it the committee, whatever makes it less sacred. The moment you name it, you've drawn a line. You've reminded yourself, that's not me, that's the noise. So when that voice says, you'll never make it, you say, nice try, Kevin. When it says, you should be further along by now, you smirk and say, Janice, please, not today. You detach. And detachment doesn't mean denial. It means perspective. It means seeing your thoughts as thoughts, not commands. And when you stop personalizing every fear, every doubt, every mental loop, you reclaim something. Agency. You remember, that voice might be loud, but it doesn't speak truth. It speaks habit. Habit of fear. Habit of perfectionism. Habit of survival. But now you're aware, and awareness is power. You're not your overthinking. You're not your past. You're not even your mood. You're the one watching it all. That's what Stoicism teaches. That behind the chaos in your head, there's a deeper self, a steady place. Not moved by every opinion, not thrown off by every wave. Just observing. Quiet. Still. Free. So from now on, when that voice kicks in, when it starts spiraling, predicting, catastrophizing, don't fight it. Notice it. Name it. Smile at it. There goes Kevin again. And keep moving. Because you're not that noise. You're the one who hears it. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. And that, right there, is your freedom. Habit 4. Negative visualization. Most of the time, we don't realize how lucky we are until it's too late. That person you see every day, that job you sometimes complain about, that normal Wednesday afternoon with nothing exciting happening. One day, it won't be there. And the Stoics, they didn't avoid this truth. They looked straight at it. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of loss. Not to be morbid, not to scare themselves, but to wake up. Because when you imagine the absence of something you love, you don't take it for granted anymore. You don't rush past it. You don't scroll through it. You feel it. The warmth, the weight, the miracle of having it at all. And here's the thing most people don't get. You crave more because you forget what you already have. You want peace? Learn how to want less. Or, at the very least, learn to see what's already yours before it's gone. Here's the habit. Every day, just for 2 minutes, visualize the absence of something you care about. The person next to you, your own hands, your ability to walk. Imagine for a moment that it's gone. Feel that empty space, and then look at it again. Not with panic, but with presence, because nothing you have is promised. And the more you remember that, the more alive you become. You stop walking through life like you're owed more time. You realize this breath, this hour, this moment is already a gift. Most people live like they're immortal. They stockpile days. But the Stoics knew every moment could be the last. So they practiced grief, not to suffer, but to build gratitude. Think of the father who loses his job and finds out who he really is. Think of the woman who loses her partner and starts living like every sunrise is a second chance. They didn't choose the pain, but they grew because of it. And when you rehearse loss, even in small doses, you become stronger for the day it inevitably comes. You stop clinging, you stop expecting, and you start loving with more awareness. That's what this habit gives you. Not fear, but focus. Not sadness, but presence. Because you can't be anxious about what you don't have when you're overwhelmed by what you do. Try this. Right now, close your eyes. Picture something in your life you cherish. Now imagine it disappears suddenly. A door shuts. A voice stops. A chapter ends. That ache in your chest, that's awareness. Now open your eyes. It's still here. Don't waste the chance to really see it. He who has anticipated the coming of troubles, Seneca said, takes away their power when they arrive. You can't stop loss, but you can prepare for it. You can love more deeply, hold more loosely, and live more completely by rehearsing the fragile truth. Nothing is guaranteed, and that is what makes everything beautiful. Habit 5. Voluntary discomfort. There's a sickness in our modern lives, and it's comfort, not the kind that heals, the kind that numbs. We've built a world where we don't have to feel much anymore. A little cold, turn the dial. A little bored, scroll. A little sad, distract. We avoid the edge at all costs, and in doing so, we become soft, not just in body, but in mind. Because the more comfort we demand, the less discomfort we can handle. And when discomfort finally comes, as it always does, we panic, we break. But the Stoics didn't wait for pain to knock down their door. They went out to meet it. Seneca called it practicing poverty, intentionally doing without, intentionally embracing lack, not because they enjoyed it, but because it made them strong. And that's the habit. Choose discomfort. On purpose. Once a week, do something difficult, something inconvenient, something you don't want to do, precisely because you don't want to do it. Take the cold shower, skip the music on your walk, fast for a day, wear your oldest clothes, sleep on the floor, remind yourself, I can go without, because that's what most of us forget. You don't need most of what you cling to, you just forgot what you're made of. Let me tell you something personal. A few years ago, I went through a stretch where everything was unraveling. Work was collapsing. A relationship was fading. I felt like I had no control over anything. I started taking cold showers every single morning, not because I was chasing some viral challenge, but because I needed to feel resistance and not run from it. I needed to start my day with something uncomfortable and prove to myself that I could face it anyway. The first few days, I hated it. But something shifted. My body woke up, my mind sharpened, and that little act of discomfort every morning became the anchor that held me together. It wasn't about water. It was about proving, if I can choose this, I can face anything. And that's what voluntary discomfort gives you. Grit, presence, self-trust. You stop walking around like everything has to be easy. You stop panicking when life stops being convenient. You meet the hard moments with a calm kind of strength that says, I've been here before, I've practiced this. Seneca said, set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, not to suffer, but to remember that you're more resilient than you think. So pick something small this week, just one act of discomfort, and do it, not for the result, but for the reminder. I don't need perfect conditions to show up fully. I can walk through discomfort and still keep my peace. If you've made it this far, then some part of you is done living distracted, done being at the mercy of chaos, done letting stress run your life. And if even one moment in this video helped you slow down, breathe deeper, or see yourself more clearly, then don't just move on. Support what's helping you grow. Hit subscribe, not as a favor, as a decision to keep showing up for yourself, to keep this work alive. Like the video if it gave you value. Share it with someone whose mind won't rest. And if you're one of the familiar faces, one of the quiet ones who keeps coming back here week after week, I see you. Thank you. You're part of something here, a quiet rebellion against the noise. Now let's keep going. Habit 6. Saying no without guilt. There's a moment you don't see on the surface, when someone asks for your time, your energy, your attention, and you say yes, even when you don't want to, even when your gut says no, even when you're exhausted, resentful, spread thin. Why? Because deep down, you're afraid of how they'll feel, afraid of being seen as selfish, afraid of being called difficult, cold, ungrateful. So you say yes, again, and again, and again, until your life is full of obligations and empty of peace. But here's the truth the Stoics lived by. Inner peace is worth more than approval. You don't owe your sanity to everyone who wants a piece of you, and the people who love you will survive your boundaries. That's the habit. Practice saying no without guilt. Practice choosing yourself without apology. Every day there's a moment where your energy is on the line, and in that moment you get to decide, am I protecting my space or abandoning it? And don't over-explain. Don't justify. Don't wrap it in fake softness. You don't need a paragraph. Sometimes a quiet no is the most honest thing you can say. Say it kindly, say it calmly, but say it. Because every time you give in when you don't mean to, you teach your mind, other people's comfort matters more than my clarity. And that's not compassion. That's self-abandonment. Epictetus said it plainly. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Meaning, if you want a life that's truly yours, you have to be okay with not being understood, with someone not liking your boundary, with someone thinking you've changed. Let them. You're not here to play a part in their version of you. You're here to become the clearest version of yourself. And that version will disappoint some people, but it will bring you back to center, to that deep, untouchable stillness that can only grow where truth lives. So here's your action step. Just one thing today, one invitation, one message, one expectation that you politely decline. And don't apologize for protecting your energy. Say it clearly, then close the door and take a breath. That's strength, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the kind that knows, I don't need to be everything for everyone. I just need to be honest with myself again and again, until peace becomes the natural result of how I live. Habit 7. Memento Mori, daily reminder. You think you have time? That's the lie. That you'll start showing up later. That you'll call them tomorrow. That your real life begins after this next season, this next milestone, this next break. But people die with to-do lists, and one day you will too. The Stoics weren't obsessed with death. They were aware of it. They kept it close, not to be scared, but to stay awake. They called it memento mori, Latin for remember you must die. It sounds harsh, but it's not. It's the most powerful invitation you'll ever receive. Because when you remember death, you finally learn how to live. Suddenly, small annoyances don't matter. You stop chasing empty things. You start speaking more honestly. You stop numbing yourself with noise. You begin to feel again. That hug becomes real. That breath becomes sacred. That silence in the car, no music, no podcast, becomes the most peaceful part of your day. You start walking through life deliberately. Here's the habit. Build a daily death reminder into your life. A memento mori coin. a lock screen, a line at the top of your journal, something you see every single day that whispers, "You don't get forever. So stop wasting what you do have." We think urgency comes from pressure, but real urgency comes from clarity. The clarity of knowing that the clock doesn't stop just because we're distracted. There are only so many dinners left with your parents, only so many sunsets you'll get to witness, only so many pages your hands will ever turn. And most of us live like time is on pause, like we'll eventually get around to what matters. But there's no pause button, only forward. Until one day, it ends. Some people realize this too late. They spend decades in shallow waters saying yes to what doesn't matter, postponing what does, until regret becomes the loudest thing in the room. But others, they wake up. They carry the weight of their own impermanence like a compass, not to be crushed by it, but to aim by it, to strip away what's fake, to spend time like it's a currency they'll never get back, because they know death doesn't make life meaningless. It makes every second more meaningful. You could leave life right now, Marcus Aurelius wrote. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Read that again. You could leave life right now. And if that thought makes your stomach drop, good. That's the feeling of waking up, of realizing there is no dress rehearsal. This is it, this conversation, this decision, this one short life. So what do you do with that truth? Do you run from it, or do you let it shape you? Let it make you kinder. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it break your addiction to the trivial. Let it turn you into someone who means what they say, someone who chooses love over ego, action over procrastination, peace over panic. Memento mori is not a threat, it's a gift, one that reminds you that every breath you take is a chance to live more fully than you did the breath before. Habit 8. Digital fasting. Your mind was never built for this much noise, notifications, ads, red dots, pings, DMs, feeds, loops, every second, something pulling at your focus. And after a while, it doesn't even feel like pressure anymore. It feels normal. That's the trap. We've become comfortable being overstimulated, and without realizing it, we lose our ability to sit in silence. We reach for the phone during every pause, in line, on the toilet, during a conversation, right before sleep. We don't even know what we're looking for, just that something has to fill the space. But that space, that stillness we're constantly running from, is exactly where the truth lives. And the Stoics knew that well. Self-discipline was their superpower. Not because it looked cool, but because it gave them back their freedom. And in today's world, nothing owns you more quietly than your phone. So here's the habit. A 2-hour digital fast. Every day. No scrolling, no texting, no checking, no responding. Just space. Walk in silence. Journal. Breathe. Stare out the window. Let your nervous system remember what calm feels like. You think you're too busy. You're not. You're distracted. And there's a difference. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, a guy who used to be sharp, driven, always on point, started losing focus. Couldn't finish books anymore. Lost hours to endless rabbit holes on YouTube and TikTok. He said his thoughts started feeling foggy. Not depressed, not anxious, just numb. So I challenged him. 2 hours. No phone. He resisted hard at first. But what if someone needs me? But the truth was, he wasn't available to himself. He tried it anyway. The first few days, torture. Restless hands. Twitchy thoughts. But then something shifted. He started thinking again. Not reacting. Thinking. Ideas started coming back. Clarity returned. And most important, he felt present for the first time in years. Not because of something he added to his routine, but because of something he removed. The endless scroll, the constant input, the silent addiction. You want to reclaim your mind? Start here. Choose a 2-hour window today. Power down the noise and be still. At first it'll feel empty. Then it'll feel quiet. Then it'll feel real. Freedom, they say, is the price we pay for discipline. That silence you're afraid of, it's not emptiness, it's your life, waiting to be heard. Habit 9. Evening self-inquiry. Most people never pause. They go from one day into the next without ever asking, was I who I wanted to be today? They wake up, they react, they chase, they crash. And slowly, without noticing, their life becomes a blur of unexamined hours. But the Stoics, they didn't just live. They studied how they lived. They reviewed it, nightly. Epictetus told his students to sit down before bed and ask, where did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I do better tomorrow? No judgment, no shame, just truth. Quiet, personal, patient truth. Because you don't need to be perfect to make progress. You just need to be honest enough to see yourself clearly. That's the habit. 5 minutes at the end of your day. No distractions, just a candle, a notebook, and the courage to look inward. Ask yourself, where did I show up today? What moments am I proud of? Maybe you listened without interrupting. Maybe you paused before reacting. Maybe you said no when it mattered. Acknowledge that, and then ask, where did I slip? Maybe you scrolled instead of facing something. Maybe you snapped at someone. Maybe you avoided the work. Don't defend it. Don't beat yourself up. Just see it. And then, what will I do differently tomorrow? One step, one decision, one better habit. That's how growth happens, not in massive breakthroughs, but in quiet, consistent review. What you don't examine, you repeat, and what you do examine, you can transform, but only if you're willing to look. So instead of ending your day with distraction, end it with a return to yourself. 5 minutes. That's it. Light a candle. Sit still. Write down what mattered. Let your life become something you actually pay attention to. Let us examine ourselves before the day is done, said the Stoics. Not for punishment, but for precision. Because without reflection, time slips through your hands. But with it, you begin to shape who you are, with intention, with awareness, with self-respect, and you begin to end each day, not numb, not anxious, but clear and ready for the next. Habit 10. The silent walk. We live in a world that never stops talking. Everyone has something to say, and everywhere you go, your mind is being filled. Notifications, opinions, voices, screens, and you probably don't even realize how long it's been since you were truly alone, not just physically, but mentally. Alone with your thoughts, with your breath, with the sound of your own footsteps. The Stoics understood something that most people forget, that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers, full of truth, full of the calm that you keep searching for in all the wrong places. Nature was their classroom. Solitude was their tool. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But how do you retreat to your soul if you're constantly drowning in noise? The answer is simple. You walk alone, in silence. No phone, no music, no podcast. Just you and the sound of your feet meeting the ground. That's the habit. A silent walk. 10 minutes every day. Not for fitness, not for productivity, but for clarity, for reconnection, to remember yourself. Most people won't do this. They'll say they're too busy. But that's not the truth. They're just uncomfortable with stillness. And that discomfort? That's exactly why this habit matters. Because what you avoid is usually what holds your freedom. And there is a kind of freedom, a fierce, grounded, unshakable peace. That can only be found when you strip away the noise and walk straight into the silence, alone. That's where your real self lives. No pressure, no performance, just breath, just ground, just life, unfiltered. And here's the challenge. Don't wait. When this video ends, get up and go for that walk. No headphones, no talking, no excuses, just 10 minutes. You don't need a trail. You don't need perfect weather. You just need a few steps in silence to remember what's been buried under the noise. Let the wind say what it wants. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. You don't need to solve everything. You just need to walk quietly, deliberately, into the peace that's been waiting for you, not on a screen, but in the stillness of your own presence. Now you've seen them all. 10 habits, 10 ways to reclaim your peace. Not theory, not fluff, not motivational noise, just simple, hard-earned practices. That worked for emperors, philosophers, soldiers, and now for you. But here's the part that matters. You can't do all 10 at once, and you don't need to. You only need one. One habit, one commitment, practiced deliberately, every day, for the next 30 days. That's it, just one. Because consistency is more powerful than intensity, and nothing rewires the mind like daily proof. So what's it going to be? Morning stillness? Naming your inner noise? The silent walk? What hits you deepest? What makes you uncomfortable? Because it feels true. Choose that. And now here's your challenge. Make that your daily non-negotiable. Start tomorrow. Better yet, start today. For 30 days, protect it. Track it. Make space for it. And watch what happens. Not just to your routine, not just to your anxiety, but to your identity. Because when you show up for a habit like that, something shifts inside you. You stop hoping for peace and start building it. Not from outside in, but from inside out. That's real strength, not loud, not flashy, quiet, grounded, steady, the kind of strength no one can give you, and no one can take away. So now I'm asking you, not as a viewer, but as a human being, which one will you choose? Comment it, write it down, share it if you know someone who needs it. Then go live it, because knowledge is nothing without practice, and peace, real peace, belongs to those who earn it daily. This is your chance to become that kind of person, not in theory, in action. So start now, and don't look back. If something in this video spoke to you, if even one sentence felt like peace, if one habit made you stop and think, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this with one person, not to go viral, not for clicks, but because maybe, just maybe, someone you love is fighting a war in their mind, and they don't know where to begin. You could be the reason they take their first breath of calm in weeks. You could be the spark that brings them back to themselves. That's how peace spreads, quietly, one person at a time. And if you've made it this far, if something here felt true, then subscribe. Not because I'm asking, but because this is just the beginning. We go deeper than motivation here. We practice, we reflect, we sharpen. And every week, I'll be right here with more Stoic tools, more stillness, and more reminders of who you really are. No noise, no fluff, just the work that matters. This channel is for the few, the quiet ones, the thinkers, the ones trying to rebuild peace from the inside out. So if that's you, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, welcome home. You've got everything you need. Now go walk, go breathe, go live.